Being in the fitness industry, my job is to turn people around for fitness and health and wellness. But the reality is I have the opportunity every day to be turned around. And I have a great story. One day I was taking on a brand new yoga class, and when I walked in, there was a lady by the name of Debbie, and I'll never forget her. She was front and center, and she had that look like she just ate like 15 lemons. She just had that puckery look, and she was front and center, and she just looked irritated that I was there. And with every single pose, she would just hem and she would haw, she would struggle, and her faces just got worse. So every week I'd be like, oh Lord, I hope she doesn't show up for class. But sure enough, she was there every single week, front and center, kind of sucking the life out of me. Well, one week Debbie wasn't there. And I'm like, yahoo! Taught a great class, everybody felt great, we walked out, I just felt powerful. But then unfortunately, the next week when I came back, I learned a big lesson. There was Debbie, but Debbie this time didn't have any hair. All her head was shaved, and it had like a zigzag pattern with staples in her head. And instantly, I felt awful. I asked her, Debbie, what happened? And she said, Doris, don't you know? I have brain cancer. I've been struggling and battling in your class every week with brain cancer. That is why I'm front and center. And I can't see very well, so I really have to squint to kind of watch you and hear you. And that's why I fall out of poses and I hem and I haw, because I'm fighting and I'm struggling. I instantly felt horrible. I instantly got the lesson. It's really not about me, it's about the students. With that being said, Debbie progressively got worse, and towards the end, she would just lay on the floor in her mat, and the class just loved on Debbie. We loved on Debbie, and we tried to create a great environment for her. In fact, she made it very clear to her doctors that she would have to take yoga before she would do her chemotherapy. It was a negotiation she would not settle down on. So after she passed, a few weeks later, her husband contacted me and asked if her daughter could come in and practice on her mat in her spot, and thanked the class for always being there for her and getting her through the rough spots. So that day came and we taught class, and after class, that's when we talked about dedicating the practice to Debbie, and the daughter spoke on how her mom would not want us to be sad, but to continue celebrating the body that we had and the health that we had, and that we just had to go on. Thinking that was an amazing day, I had another woman come up to me in tears that I hadn't seen in about 6 weeks. And she said to me, Doris, this is my first time back in the gym, and I can't believe I took your class, and I can't believe I took it with Debbie's daughter, because I just lost my daughter 6 weeks ago. She was running cross country. She was a sophomore in high school, and she dropped of a heart attack. And I couldn't get off the couch. I couldn't get out of the house, but I thought if I started with your yoga practice, I'd be okay. And hearing Debbie's words have given me the motivation to continue. So when I think I'm out there motivating and teaching, many people are teaching me. And I have to take ownership. Every time I bring it, I need to bring it, because no matter who I'm touching, may touch others. And it's a gift and it's a responsibility that I just don't take lightly.
My number one success story is a friend of mine who today has become my best friend. Originally began, however, as a client in the front row. Her name was Bernadette. She was in the front row of my aqua classes and came religiously for about 6 years. And I looked at her about halfway through that 6-year period, about the 3rd year, and said, I think you need to teach and you need to get certified. And now that Bernadette has not only moved on to become certified in aqua and have a following with a waiting list, but at 82 years young, she's gone on to change her life. She's no longer diabetic. She has reversed completely her type 2 diabetes. She has gone on to finish her black belt in karate. She has become ACE and AFA and aqua and CPR certified. And now she's sharing that message with actually other teachers much, much younger than she is. So she has a new program that she calls Out with the Old and In with the Older. She's my true inspiration. How did she do it? Learn generally how to eat less, move more, and make small steps towards big overall changes.
Most people see me as a pretty strong individual, but when I saw commercials on TV about animal or kid or abuse of any sort, I would get very squeamish and I'd switch the channel very, very quickly. Well, a little while back, someone approached me about starting to volunteer at an equine rescue facility called Red Bucket Ranch. These horses were abused. They were used as pit bull bait, they were starved, they were beaten, they were overrun, and I was very uncomfortable at first about going to a facility and volunteering my time. But knowing it was an important charity, I decided to move forward with it. Nothing could have prepared me for what I was going to see and how I was going to feel after volunteering my time. It has given me back more than I'll ever imagine. It was the most amazing experience of my life. If you want to transform your life, do charity. Do charity that's special to you and see how it will transform you.
The biggest transformation I've seen in one of my clients that went from zero to hero is not really someone who was actually at a zero. She's somebody that's been taking my classes for many, many years, probably close to 20 years. So I've seen her children grow up in front of me, but she's always been a fitness person. She wasn't someone that grew up doing anything athletic. She wasn't really into performance. She really just worked out and took classes to stay in shape. I'm not even actually sure she liked it that much, but she knew she needed to do it. And about 6 or 7 years ago, she had been taking my walking and running class that I teach on treadmills called Tread and Shred. And I encouraged her to participate in a race that I was involved in with Nike called the Human Race, which was a day that Nike had put together to get the whole world to run the same day, 1 million people to run the same day. And because it had such a lofty goal, and it was a 10K, which wasn't super long, she brought her family to participate, and she did her first race. And I think the reason I got her there, because at the end of the race there was actually a concert by Kanye West, and she was more interested in the concert but knew she couldn't see it if she didn't do the race. But watching her come across that finish line, when you saw the support and the energy of everyone that you typically see at a race, was brand new for her. She had never done anything athletic in her life like that, and she came across with her son. And she got the bug. And I knew that I could push her a little bit farther, so I said, well, how about this the next time? How about this next time? And we kept kind of finding these moments to upgrade her experience. And finally, 3 years ago, I got her to agree to come to the Nike Women's Marathon, which is the largest women's race in the world, half marathon and a full marathon. She wouldn't do the full, but I got her to agree to do the half if I promised to train her. And she did it, and she has now gone back 3 consecutive years in a row and considers herself a multiple half marathoner, which is not something that you would have ever thought would have come out of her mouth 20 years ago. And I think what's interesting about her story was it was the right event, the right motivation, the right inspiration at the right time, calling upon all the things that motivated her. The first experience was to do something with her family and something that she enjoyed. The next one was to say she had finished it. And now for her, it's about being able to tell people that she does multiple half marathons, because to her that means that she's truly legit. And while she's not the fastest and she runs half of it, she still sees it as a great accomplishment in her life to be, 50 and actually have done something athletic when she spent the better part of her half of her life not doing that. And she's an example of somebody, if you take it in small stages and you put the right motivation and inspiration in front of them, they can achieve things they never thought they could.